Welcome to this edition of On the Scene. I'm your host, Tim Kelly. On today's program, we're talking about family fun and learning here in Suffolk. We're going to be previewing the upcoming drive-in movie. You heard me right, a drive-in movie at Bennett's Creek Park. And also we'll promote the early learning centers you can find at Suffolk Public Libraries that are brought to you courtesy the Suffolk Public Library and the Suffolk Early Childhood Development Commission. Stay tuned. Welcome back to On the Scene, joined now by Special Events Coordinator Emily Upton with Suffolk Parks and Recreation to talk about several things, but one of them in particular, a very unique first-time event coming to Suffolk, and you're going to have to explain this one to everybody, a drive-in movie. Now, how is this going to work? Because I don't think we have a drive-in movie theater here.
No,
Okay.
We are transforming Bennett's Creek Park into a drive-in.
Nice.
So
Okay.
where the stage is at the park, the built-in stage there for TGIF, we are putting a large inflatable screen out there so you can park your cars where you would normally bring your lawn chair for the TGIF concert series. Bring your car, we'll park there, and we're showing the movie Hocus Pocus.
Okay.
But we also have a little area, if you want to sit on a blanket, maybe you stuff the van full of kids and you're not ready to sit in the whole
Right.
movie with all of them in there. Bring blankets, bring lawn chairs. You can watch the movie from the blankets as well.
All right, now how does this work with, if you're in your car, how is this going to work with the audio and everything? Obviously everybody can see it, but tell us a little bit about how that's going to work.
We are working with a great company, Funflix,
Okay.
and they will be transmitting through your FM radio. So you'll be able to hear it in your car with the windows up if it's a little cool that evening. And then also though, if you're sitting on a blanket, there'll be speakers there too. And there won't be any time lapse, so it shouldn't be any difference if you're in the car or in the blankets.
And again, the movie's Hocus Pocus.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about it, or maybe, I know there's some big stars that were in it.
Yeah, it's a Disney classic, Bette Midler. It's a movie about witches and mayhem on Halloween night. It was a 1990s movie.
Sarah Jessica Parker, I think.
Yeah,
is one of the ones
she's
that I think
one of the witches
okay,
too.
all
Yeah.
right, all right.
So the three witch
Flashback there,
sisters
yeah.
come back on Halloween night. So the kids have to battle to save the day.
Okay, and again, this is coming in perfect time for celebration of Halloween.
Yeah.
It's Saturday, October 24th.
Yeah, the week before Halloween. So Saturday, October 24th out at Bennett's Creek Park.
Does it cost anything to
No, it is
does?
free
Oh.
and open to the public.
Okay.
So stock your car full of kids, come
Okay.
on out to the park. We do say no food or drink, but we will have concessions there. So
Okay.
popcorn, dinner food, snacks for the kids. We also encourage everyone to come early. The movie will start at 6:30, 6:45 depending on the sunset.
Right.
But at 5 o'clock we're going to be opening the park for a park and play.
Okay.
So we want you to come, find your parking spot, and then walk over to the kids playground area. We're going to be bringing out bounce houses, face painting, kids crafts, stuff to keep them occupied before the movie starts.
Do you know, I mean, I know the park configuration, obviously you have a huge grassy area there, but based on the size of the screen, approximately how many cars?
We're thinking we can fit about 150, 200
wow.
cars
Okay.
out there. So
All right.
we will have to say when the car park area is full,
Yes.
we will have extra parking for you to come sit and bring a blanket or a
Okay.
lawn chair.
Well, perfect. So again, built in if you have overflow, so to speak.
Exactly.
So again, I guess with the 200 cars, obviously you have your rows laid out and everything set up right there. And I'm guessing the distances will work as far as with the size of the screen,
Yep,
right?
thankfully the company, this is not their first rodeo while it is ours, but
Right,
they will
right.
be helping us set up so
Okay.
everyone will have the best view. So when you come into the park, just keep an eye out for the park rangers in the vests and they'll direct you to where to park.
Very nice. And of course, on that same night at the Visitor Center, they also have a movie. So it's kind of really movie night in Suffolk. So
Exactly.
if you want to see one movie versus the other or a different part of the city versus the other, you got that opportunity. So that's great.
Yep.
Good deal. So no charge movie, drive-in movie, October the 24th at Bennett's Creek Park. You said the movie starts about 6:30, 6:45,
Yep.
but again, you're suggesting people get there a little bit early.
Yes, we do recommend you get there early so you get a good spot.
Okay, perfect. Good deal. Well, again, a nice outing planned by Parks and Recreation. Now, is it rain or shine?
It is rain or shine.
It is, okay.
But we say rain or shine, but if it's too muddy to park, that will be
Right.
an issue.
Okay, all right. Well, we're fingers are crossed for
Yes.
good weather, right? Okay. Now, of course, with all the things that Parks and Rec does, one of the big components is, we're shifting gears in case you didn't figure that one out here, to athletics. And again, October is a very busy month over there. And again, it's all getting everything ready for the fall or really maybe winter sports.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what's going on with registration for those sports.
We have registration open now for soccer, basketball, and cheerleading, and that's for the older kids and the younger kids as well. We do the little kickers
Right.
and the little dribblers. So you just can go to any of the joint use facilities or the main office, the admin office, and sign up there.
Okay, so again, that'll be going on to the end of October?
It'll go on to the end of October.
Okay. And those sports usually kick up as far as practices, I want to say December, am I right about that?
I believe mid-November, December.
Okay. So again, and again, when you're registering, I'm sure you'll have all the dates and
Yes.
everything for all that information there. Now, can some of that also be done online with Parks and Rec as far as
You
registration?
can register online too. If you go to the website, you can do registration there as well. But if you have any questions or if
Right.
you're new, always nice to come into the facility and meet some of the coaches out there.
Exactly. And of course, you also have another event that's coming up, and this one's a little different.
Yes.
And we talked about this before we started the taping, so you're going to have to say the name of this one because I'm not touching this one.
We are hosting a Yappy Hour at the dog park. So we are inviting everyone to come out, bring your pets to the dog park. You don't have to be a member.
Okay.
So it's $5 for members and then $15 for non-members, but we'll include a membership for a year at the dog park.
Nice. Okay.
It's going to be hosted on October 29th, which is a Thursday evening. It's going to go from 7 to 9. There will be drinks for the adults out there and crafts for the dogs. So you'll be making a great little craft to share with your pet.
So again, the dog park is located where?
At Lake Mead Park.
Okay.
Yep. So it's right there behind the Farm Fresh off Main Street.
So I know there's a lot of amenities at that park itself, and I know the dog park is a little further back, but there's a driveway that leads to that, correct?
There's a long driveway with lots of parking out there by the dog park, but you also, if you bring your children out as well, there's a large playground and walking trails as well.
Very good. And again, that's a unique use of land here in the city of Suffolk to have the dog park. I know it's something we've talked about for a while, and of course it's been around for a little while now, and we're always encouraging people to become members there, so that way you have access to the dog areas. I believe the small dogs to the left, big dogs to the right. I think is how that's set up. I remember when we did the opening there, but it's a very nice amenity to have. There's a walking trail that's just to the left of the dog park, I believe. Of course, you have the tennis courts and all the playground activity right there, so it's just a lot going on right there. So again, the charge for that event itself is?
The event is $5 for members and $15 for non-members. Membership to the dog park is $10, and it proves to everyone that your dog has all their shots and is up to date and is registered with the city. So you know your dog's safe when he's out there playing with his friends.
So now how can you pre-register for that, or do you do it the day of?
You can pre-register for that if you just called the main office. You can get all the information there.
And of course, with that, they'll tell you what records you need to provide to provide proof that your dog has the shots and everything to make sure he or she is current, correct?
Yeah. You can do that at Lake Mead when one of the park rangers is on duty, or you can also go to the admin office as well.
All right. So again, backing up to our first topic again, the drive-in movie. Let's talk about the particulars with that one more time. And also, I would ask. I know this is our first time doing this, so is it maybe the theory if it goes over like we think it will, might be a recurring?
We are hoping to bring this back.
Very nice.
Yep.
So again, it's Hocus Pocus on Saturday, October the 24th.
Yes.
Bennett's Creek Park. But that one doesn't cost you anything to attend.
No, it is free and to attend. So bring as many people as you'd like. Load the car up to safety. Make sure everyone has a seatbelt.
And of course, if you're in your car, they'll use your FM radio, and there'll be a channel, I guess, you tune to, right? So you can use that, or you said there will be speakers on site as well, so everything will.
Yeah, so if it's a warmer night, you can sit on a blanket, bring your lawn chairs, no restrictions on those.
Very good. Well, looking forward to the drive-in movie. Of course, again, we talked about the athletic sign-ups that are going on through October, and that's basketball, cheerleading, and soccer.
Yeah, for youth sports.
And you mentioned the little program with that, and that's an award-winning program as well.
Yes, it
I believe
is.
we had captured an award for that a couple years ago. And then, of course, we also have the
Yappy Hour at the dog park.
Yappy Hour at the dog park. Okay. But actually, and then that's actually a 2-hour event.
It is.
And it's going to be on Thursday, October the 29th.
Yeah, and we also, I forgot to mention, there will be a costume contest for your favorite pets.
Okay, all right. Gotta love it when the pets get dressed up, you know. You always see those poor dogs and cats looking at you like, get this costume off of me. But it's a good opportunity to get out there, take some pictures, and see what your neighbors can come up with. Good deal. Well, Emily, thanks for being with us to talk about these great offerings from Parks and Recreation. And it's another opportunity for you to be aware of what the Parks and Recreation Department is doing. It's more than just athletics, even though that is a key component there. But it's all the special events and taking advantage of the amenities in the parks and the resources we have that seemingly continue to grow. And again, just finding good uses for them, and family fun events, in most cases free events. Of course, obviously the athletics, there's a charge for registration for that. And you mentioned the Yappy Hour at the park. There's a small fee for that as well. But again, just a great way to tap into the resources we have here with the City of Suffolk. And thanks to you and the Parks and Rec staff for continuing to put forth those good offerings.
Thanks for having us, Tim.
Appreciate it. And we'll have more on the scene when we return. Welcome back to On the Scene. We're coming to you from a little different location than we have in recent weeks. We're taking the show out on the road, so to speak. But we're here for the North Suffolk Library to talk about a very important topic, and that is going to be early learning centers. And this is sort of a new thing for Suffolk Public Library in conjunction with the Early Childhood Development Commission here in Suffolk. And I have two very special guests to cover this topic and explain kind of the methodology behind it, and also how families and children can definitely benefit from the existence of these centers in our 3 public libraries here in Suffolk. So joining us today, we have Brenda O'Donnell, who is the coordinator with the Early Childhood Development Commission here in Suffolk, and Allison Rennell, who is the family Youth and Family Services Manager with Suffolk Public Library. So I want to thank you both for joining us today.
Thanks for having
So
us.
let's kick off and explain what an early learning center is in Suffolk Public Library.
So our early learning centers are at all three locations, the Morgan branch, the North Suffolk branch, and the Chuckatuck branch. And what they are a collection of materials, play materials for children, particularly of the early childhood age, to come in and play and learn in the library. So it's a specific space that we've set aside with these materials.
Very good. And of course, where we are in the North Suffolk Library, this huge, the children's area that they have here, which includes a lot of bright colors and things that really draw the kids and the families in to participate. And when you start talking about that, and as far as the appeal of these centers, Brenda, if you talk about how important it is for children really of any age, but especially the young ones, to tap into those early sources of learning to kind of get them on that process to make them school ready or just help their performance while at school.
Well, the goal of the libraries and the Early Childhood Development Commission is to really get those brains developed. 90% of brain development happens by the age of 5. So what we want is to make libraries comfortable and fun and safe. And these play areas allow kids to build with blocks and play and do some dramatic play that they might not have access to at home, and be surrounded by books. So when parents are playing with their children and their child seems to be very interested in blocks, they can actually right here pick up those resource books so they can learn the importance of blocks and play. When kids learn best through play, they learn best through hands-on. You were 5 once, I was 5 once, and we like to go out there and play in the mud and build the blocks and play with the Legos, and that's how we learn. That's how kids learn. And to do it in a beautiful environment like this library and all the libraries in Suffolk, it's such a rewarding experience for these kids. And hopefully it'll just enhance their experience at the library, make them feel more comfortable and just want to grow up here and be here throughout their whole educational experience.
Now, both of you talked about the play element that we're talking about here, and of course learning comes along with that. But we are in a library, when I think of play, that sometimes can get a little, how does that work as far as, is there any kind of you're in a library, or is it the fact that, no, go ahead and play and have fun and do that? How does that work?
We are a library, but in all of our play areas, we definitely encourage play.
Okay.
Obviously, if there was some screaming or something, we might ask you to keep you down, but no, you will not get shushed in our play areas. But they're specifically for that purpose, and children, that noise that they're making, those conversations they're having with themselves or with others are actually really important to that early learning. So it's definitely something that we encourage. We really value learning at the library, learning throughout your life, and so having these play areas, as Brenda said, it's the best way for young children to learn. So it fits right with our mission of we want to be able to provide places and things for people to learn from, and for young children, that's going to be centers like these.
And parents don't realize the importance of imagination play. So many times now, kids play with video games. There's no imagination required. So in these play centers, it allows kids to be imaginative and explore and feel safe at the same time. And a lot of times parents want to jump in and get involved and hush them or whatever the case, and it's really, you want them to talk, you want them to explore, you want them to knock blocks over, you want them to build them back up. That's part of the experience, and these centers allow kids to do that.
So I guess you kind of have the blank slate approach to things. You let the child fill in his or her own adaptation of whatever the environment is. Now with the learning centers, obviously you have it at North Suffolk, you have it at Morgan Memorial and Chuckatuck, but are they all set up a little differently? Would you find different things in all three libraries, or is there some similarities between the space as much as the tools that are provided there?
So there are some similarities. There is something of certain elements. So like as Brenda mentioned, dramatic play. So we have kitchens in both the North Suffolk and the Morgan play kitchens, so they can play being at the store, being in the kitchen, cooking, shopping, that type of stuff. And then at the Chuckatuck Library, we have a play workbench, so they can pretend like they're building or they're a carpenter or something like that. So there's themes between all of them. There's a type of blocks at each location, but they're actually all different. So you can go to each location and have still the same fun experience, but you get to play with different stuff. So I definitely encourage parents to visit all the locations to experience the different types of toys.
Now, it's interesting when sometimes we think about children's toys, especially the early ones. You think, well, it's just a block or it's just this, but it's so much more. And I think you talked about that earlier, the fact that there is sort of a mental component that goes behind it, not just the fact that they're stacking blocks. There's concepts there. There's things that they pick up on, and I don't think we really realize that when we start talking about the early learning and the fact that it's play, but the importance that it ties into to the mental.
Well, blocks in particular are
Right.
one of my favorite, and I'm so glad that they're here at all the branches and in various forms. But blocks are so. It's engineering. You know, how do our architects start out?
Right.
They build, and actually developmentally, you want kids to build blocks, and based on how they build it, there's actually different developmental milestones. So there is a stage where they are supposed to build them, and it's completely normal to knock them over. They can be quite frustrating for the older kids,
Right.
but the younger kids, and that's important
Yeah.
because they're learning things fall down, but you can pick them up and start over again. And there's so much balance involved with blocks. So blocks is one of those. It touches literacy, math, science. It's one of those toys that is just essential for a healthy brain
Right.
and growth and success with math and engineering.
Now, just feedback for both of you on this one. How have the early learning centers been received so far from the parents and the children? I'm sure you've seen it sort of in action, but just feedback from the two of you on how these are working so far.
So they have been very popular here. We've gotten lots of comments from parents who say that sometimes they just come to the library just for the Learning Center, and mom sits in the chair by the Learning Center, reads a book while kids are building with blocks.
Right.
Particularly after our storytime programs, our Learning Centers are hugely filled with children, and they are interacting with each other. They're interacting with children of different ages, and so I would say they have definitely been a big success for us.
Good.
And we've heard a lot of feedback in the community
Right.
too, from our commission members. They'll go to the libraries and they're just amazed how the kids are playing and enjoying themselves and are comfortable. And when kids are comfortable at the library, it allows parents to be comfortable at the
Right.
library. It's a win-win for everybody. Everybody feels safe. And there's so many resources at the library, and it's particularly nice if kids are playing like after a story time and parents stay around and talk and use each other as resources. That's so important for parents to interact and talk and know what their different children are doing and what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. So even that is a learning experience within itself. So we're excited that they're being used.
Right. A little networking going on, so to speak. Right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Now, as far as with everything, I mean, I know it's great, and I know it's one of the things, the sort of, I guess, the methodology from the library perspective is certainly to get people in. I mean, the facilities are here; they're waiting to be used, and of course, with all the great programming, the resources that are here, not to mention the resources online, but this the fact of having people in here. And Brenda, you mentioned the fact of getting the young people in here. I guess if you start using the library at an early age, I mean, it's a lifetime of experiences that you have in front of you, and all the resources and things that y'all provide. I mean, it just really opens that door.
Yes, it definitely. It starts kind of what Brenda was saying about being a
Right.
safe and enjoyable place. It makes you, from a young child, have that feeling of the library is a place I want to be. The library is a place that even when I'm not playing with toys anymore, I know there's things here that are interesting to me, and I know that the people are nice, and I know that the space is nice, and I know that this is a part of my community, and I
Correct.
feel part of my community, and the library is a part of my community.
I think
I've
it's
spent a lot of time as
Right.
a child in the library, and even to this day, I just have this comfort level here. No matter what library I go into, whether it's one in an elementary school or in a public building or in a university, I've always felt this level of comfort. And I think it's because I started very young in a library setting, and it was comfortable. And I know this is the place to get information.
Right.
I think anything when you have positive experiences as a child, that it does fast forward 20 years
Right.
and you still have that. You're
Right.
not afraid. You know, people are welcoming and are going to help you.
stays with you, as like you said. Yeah.
Exactly.
And both of you touched on the community aspect of what we're talking about. And I think that's when you look at a library, especially these days, the fact that the programming that goes on here. I know when you come to North Suffolk, you have the nice little entrance area right there. There's a community element right there. You go in all the areas there, and you want people to network, to work together. Certainly with the programs that are being offered, it's an opportunity to not only participate in the program, but you meet your neighbors, you get to know people, you get out there, and I think those are also learning experiences for very young children as well, right?
Exactly.
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
I think over the last few years, the libraries have done just a wonderful job at really opening their doors. And not only are they opening their doors, they are actually leaving their doors. They're going out in the community. And I know that's probably another segment, but it goes both ways. The
Yeah.
library's going out in the community is coming into the library. It's a win-win for everybody.
And if you two could talk about it, and we have a couple minutes left of the program, but how the idea for the Early Learning Centers came about, and the fact that it's a partnership really between the Early Childhood Development Commission, Social Services, and the library to work together to make these centers come to life. And from what I understand, it really didn't take long once the two of the ideas got together to make it happen. And then these centers really over time, I guess, will continue to grow.
Exactly.
Yes, definitely. Actually, when I first came to the Suffolk Public Library, I'd come from library systems that had play areas before, and so it was something that I was always interested in. And then I think it probably just came up between the two of
Yes.
us
Right.
that Brenda had been interested in helping the libraries grow play centers as well.
It's
So-
just it fulfills both of our missions, and that's to make sure kids are learning and are on track for school. And it was just a nice blending of services. We had the funds to put these play centers in the libraries.
Right.
The libraries were open and willing to put these play centers in the libraries,
Right.
and so it was her vision and our ability to help with that, and it went right along with our mission for the Early Childhood Development Commission. Anything that helps those little brains get
Yes.
stronger,
Right, right.
prepare those
Yes.
kids for school,
Yes.
we are for it.
Indeed. Now, let me ask you this question as we close. Do you have to have a Suffolk Public Library card to participate with the Early Learning Centers, or how does that work with the programs? Obviously, to check out materials you do, but how does that work? And we want to encourage everyone to get a free library card as well, of
Definitely.
course.
Right, so it doesn't matter what age you are, as long as you live in Virginia or North Carolina, you
Okay.
can get a Suffolk Public Library card for absolutely for free, but you don't have to have a card.
Okay.
You can come into the play centers and attend, play in the play centers, attend any of our programs without having a card. The only thing you do need the card for is to access, check out books or to access
Right.
our online materials. So we
Okay.
definitely encourage that, but if that's not something that you want to do, then you can still come to everything we offer.
Very good.
It's not a problem.
Very
And
good.
I've already checked out my books today for my kids, so I'm ready to go.
The learning never stops, right?
Yep, never,
There we go.
ever.
Well, Allison and Brenda, thank you both for being with us today to talk about the early learning centers found in Suffolk Public Libraries. Certainly, there are 3 locations throughout the city of Suffolk, certainly one near you. Be sure to check out the resources at both the library and the Early Childhood Development Commission website. Some great information out there. So again, I want to thank you both for being with us today to share this great information. And that will do it for this edition of On the Scene. I'm your host, Tim Kelly. We'll see you next time.